And we're back in the room and you're listening to Paul Ross with Santander. If you're experiencing financial difficulties, Santander have a range of online tools that can help you. Find out more at santander.co.uk as we say good morning and welcome back to our Friday regular. We call him Van Friday. Van Connor, top film critic and our Freeview expert when it comes to recommending great movies for the weekend on Freeview. Good morning, Van, and how's your week been? Have you seen Black Widow yet?
Good morning, Mr. Ross. Sadly, I have not seen Black Widow as yet. I shall be after the weekend, however.
Marvellous. Well, I'll get your verdicts on that next week or when the embargo's lifted or whatever. And you've got some goodies for us for this week, starting with a film on Channel 4 tonight, 11:05. Tell us about Night School.
It just feels like I can't get rid of Kevin Hart lately. He seems to be everywhere, because I've only just reviewed Fatherhood, I think a week or two ago. Yeah. And, of course, Night School is now dropping on Channel 4 tonight, 11:05. This is a comedy from a couple of years ago, 2018, thereabouts. And this was teaming Kevin Hart with Tiffany Haddish. This is the sort of archetypical agent of chaos kind of structure of, the juvenile guy goes back to school, effectively. You saw Adam Sandler attempt this in Billy Madison, for instance.
And Rodney Dangerfield in the film called Back to School with a very young Robert Downey Jr. back in the day.
Of course, yes. One of the most archetypical ones. And he's the guy who has to go and get his GED effectively when it's discovered that he never actually officially graduated high school, goes to night school, and is one of a group of miscreants, as it were, each with their own distinct wacky characteristics. And they all have to, team up and pool their resources to learn how to study and pass the big final exam. It's not the most complex one in the world, but you know what? It's chucklesome. It's Kevin Hart doing what he does best.
It's a bit of a laugh to cheer us all up. It's Night School. It's 11:05 tonight. You've got a clip for us, I think, Van.
I have indeed. So this is Kevin Hart trying to get to grips with exactly what has held him back from education all these years.
Here we go. It's 11 o'clock tonight, 5:05. On 4, it's Night School.
My suspicions were right, and you, my friend, are dyslexic.
That's what I got.
I knew it. Now that you say it, it makes sense. You also have a processing disorder.
I got a touch of prostate cancer. She didn't touch my ass one time.
I said processing disorder.
I'm not processing it. I didn't process none of that.
You are just one big, beautiful, mixed drink of learning disabilities.
Okay. So how do we fix it? Let's talk solution.
Well, there's no cure for what you have. Oh, my God. I got learning herpes?
Teetering on the edge of bad taste, but it sounds very funny indeed. I've not seen it. It's Night School. It's on tonight, and I've gone for something up against it, same time, different channel, on BBC 2 tonight. Now, this is a goodie, I think, this film. Kind of slipped under the radar a bit for me when it came out, but I've seen it since. Borg versus McEnroe. Great cast. It's 11:05 tonight on BBC 2, and it's unbelievably 4 years old now. Did you enjoy this when it came out, this one, Van?
I really did. It's one of the few times I can say that they perfectly cast Shia LaBeouf, because he's pitch perfect casting as John McEnroe. Absolutely.
And some great tennis action in it as well. Very appropriate, of course. They're running it because it's a Wimbledon weekend. It's BBC 2, 11:05 tonight. Borg versus McEnroe. And looking ahead to tomorrow, a different film you've chosen. I've not seen this one. 11 o'clock tomorrow night, BBC 2. Tell us about Pride. It's set in the 80s, I think, isn't it?
If you've not seen this one, Paul, you'll absolutely love this one. So this is set in the 80s. This is from back in 2014. It's based on a true story, and it's the group of gay activists who set out and journey over on a road trip to Wales to basically work and support the National Union of Mine Workers. It was during that time. And it was about how these two disparate groups came together and wound up supporting one another. Heck of a cast in there that includes the likes of Dominic West, Bill Nye, Imelda Staunton, George Mackay, who a couple of years later would go on to star in 1917, obviously, as well. You've got who's the guy from Sherlock that everyone's so in love with? Andrew Scott.
Oh, right, yeah.
Andrew Scott is in this as well. I was going to say that everyone's so in love with. Moriarty from Sherlock. Just a heck of a cast. Great soundtrack. Really affectionately made. Really sort of charming and emotional and heart-wrenching. Dominic West on his own will absolutely emotionally destroy you in this. So this is on tonight on BBC One at 11 o'clock. I cannot recommend highly enough.
Tomorrow night,
tomorrow night on BBC Two. Sorry. I cannot recommend highly enough that you check it out. He's absolutely brilliant. I love this film.
Okay, so it's Pride. It's 11 o'clock, BBC 2 tomorrow night, and you've got a clip for us, Van.
I've got a clip for you. This is George Mackay joining the band, because we sort of get all of this from George Mackay's perspective. He's the newcomer to the group of activists. This is George Mackay coming up with his excuses to join the gang on their road trip to Wales.
Here we go.
All aboard the Deviant's bus. fishing, no community singing, and absolutely no back-chatting the driver. Right, where are we going? Wales? Someone better run me a little spliffette.
What I'd like to know is what Bromley told his mum and dad.
Yeah.
That's no big deal.
Come on.
I said that I was doing so well at college they were sending me on a residential course.
Doing what?
Shoe pastry?
Shoe as in CHOUX, I suspect, not making shoes or out of pastry or whatever. Okay, so that's Ben's second recommendation. Now, I've gone for something, and I wish they were showing, and I bet they're not. Film 4 tomorrow night. I wish they were showing the ultimate version of Watchmen from 2009. Yeah. If you've never seen that, folks, it's a Zack Snyder special. It's 3.5 hours long, and it's absolutely fantastic. This one, I think, is the original, which disappointed at the box office, but I still enjoy it. It's based on the Alan Moore comic book, classic comic book. There was a spin-off series or a kind of prequel and a sequel recently, I think, on Sky Atlantic, which was very good. This follows the comic book as closely as you can. It's well worth watching. It's Watchmen. It's Film 4, 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Did you enjoy this one? It was odd because people were saying the book was unfilmable. I think Terry Gilliam, amongst other directors from Monty Python, he walked away from the project at one time.
He absolutely did. I think Terry Gilliam's version was pitched. That got turned into a series and was going to star Schwarzenegger, I think, as Dr. Manhattan. It was a very tumultuous development, this film. I absolutely love Watchmen, though. It's the reason that, annoyingly, I can't just write off Zack Snyder entirely, because I absolutely adore his adaptation. I will say as well, you said 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours is the shortest version I think you can get of Watchmen.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, maybe it whizzed by, and I love a long film. It whizzed by for me, because I think there was a director's cut, and then there was something called the ultimate version, so there are lots knocking around, aren't there? I have to make sure I've got all three of them to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it again, though, tomorrow night. Set the clock for after England have beaten Ukraine, of course. It'll be Watchmen, 10 o'clock, Film 4. But my big recommendation of the weekend is for Sunday, which is July the 4th, and we've got on Film 4 at 9 o'clock Sunday night, Independence Day, on Independence Day. And here's a clipette for you. It's a great movie. It's Will Smith, of course. Bangs, whizzes. It's got kind of gung-ho American action. We can park our concerns about all that and about the fact that people cheer when he says nuke 'em about the aliens, because let's face it, they are here to destroy our planet. It's Jeff Daniels as the president. It's Independence Day, on Independence Day, Sunday night.
Get up! Get up! That's what you get! Look at you! Ship all banged up! Who's the man? Huh? Who's the man? Wait till I get another plane. I'm lining all your friends up right beside you. Where you at, huh? Huh? Where you at? Welcome to Earth.
That's what you're calling Close Encounter. Great fun, that film. So that's my recommendation for the weekend. And you're ending with another biggie, again 9 o'clock, but it's on 5 Star Sunday night. Remind us how good The Rock is. Sean Connery and Nick Cage. What's not to love?
Well, I mean, it rocks. It's in the title. I mean, this was like peak popularity, I think, in the 90s for Alcatraz. It went through a stage where it was briefly sort of fashionable and cool again. And Michael Bay and Jerry Bruckheimer's solution to that trend was to go and enlist Sean Connery in 1996 to lead an action movie. Wound up sort of restarting him as a sort of older generation action star for 5 minutes. We wound up with, this ran all the way through to, I think, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen in 2003.
Had Entrapment around that time as well, didn't we? With
that falls in the middle, I think, about 99. But he is the ex-spy who is brought out of prison to lead an expedition into Alcatraz. He's the only man who ever broke out of Alcatraz, and he's tasked with leading an FBI tactical unit into Alcatraz when a rogue general takes the island hostage, loads it with rockets filled with VX gas, and basically holds San Francisco hostage as well, under the threat of chemical warfare if they don't cough up money for all of the wrongly murdered soldiers the government refuses to acknowledge.
And there's a weird
without timeliness.
And there's a weird kind of suggestion that maybe Connery's meant to be James Bond, who spent decades in prison, which they can't really address for copyright reasons, but it's hanging there, isn't it, as kind of subtext for it. So it's a great, mad, fun film with Nicolas Cage, of course, eating the scenery, and you've got a clip for us, I think, Ben.
I have got a clip for you, and this is two titans facing off now. So this is what happens when you put Sean Connery and Ed Harris in, I think, really their one and only scene together.
But what a scene. Here we go. It's 9 o'clock Sunday night. It's 5-star. It's The Rock.
Do they bother to tell you who I am, why I'm doing this, or are they just using you like they do everybody else?
All I know is you were big in Vietnam. I saw the highlights on television.
And you wouldn't have any idea what it means to lead some of the finest men on God's earth into battle and then see their memory betrayed by their own government.
I don't quite see how you cherish the memory of the dead by killing another million. And this is not combat. It's an act of lunacy, General Sir. Personally, I think you're a idiot.
Lunacy, General Shah. You can't, they give him as many S words as possible, don't they, deliberately in this film. I think it's an absolute cracker. Brilliant stuff, fan. Remind us how we can hear you and Rebecca Perfect together in podcast form.
You can hear Bex and I at 6 a.m. this very morning with our weekly off-screen show on all good podcast platforms, giving you the full 7-day guide to everything movies.
And he's back with us next week. Of course, it's Van Connor, our Van Friday, with 6 Freeview film recommendations. Coming up, though, Time for Your Mind with Santander. And after that, we're off to the Met Office to find out what the weather's going to be like in Rome for the weekend. You can guess why.